See, every time. There we are. And I believe Zeb is in the chat. Hey there, James Lee. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Now, do you prefer James Lee or Zeb?
Zeb.
Okay, Zeb.
Yes.
All right.
Can
All
you see me
right.
good? Should I turn on the light? Just one sec.
Yeah.
I'll turn on the light.
Welcome in, everyone. Welcome back. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better. You were good, but
Okay.
that's a little
Okay.
bit better. All
All
right,
right. Awesome.
sounds
Awesome.
good. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome back to our second of our double header, our TikTok live town hall. Let's see here. I think I need to turn mine down a little bit. We are welcoming Zeb Taylor, who is running for the Democrat primary
Yes.
for the U.S. House of Representatives for Virginia's 3rd District. We'll be taking taking your questions live for Zeb if you have any, or we'll just be sitting here talking, shooting the breeze with each other, talking about policy, sharing his vision for his district and his platform. But we also appreciate questions. We also appreciate you tapping the live, sharing it out, sharing it to your friends, your family, anybody who lives in Virginia or outside of Virginia. I'm actually going to do some sharing. I'm going to add this to my story. Followers, let them know that you're doing a town hall.
Yes. Yes. I just posted a video too, so hopefully
Okay.
that'll bring some people in.
Awesome. Thank you. Also, what else? If you're coming in, please like the live. Please like it so that we can get on the FYP, so we can get more people in here to listen to Zeb share his ideas for the future of Virginia's 3rd District. My name is Ayana Fakir, and we are OVC. Our Vote Counts, a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure every voice is heard through education, outreach, accountability, and action. We are building a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. Thank you for joining us. Remember, your vote is your power. And I'm just going to give a little bit of background on Zeb. Zeb Taylor is a candidate, like I said, for Congress in Virginia's 3rd Congressional District for the Democrat primary. Zeb draws on a mix of academic insight, personal history, and organizing experience. He frames his campaign as a response to what he calls a cost of living crisis, rising inequality, and failure of traditional political models to respond to everyday people's needs. His platform emphasizes community-centered economic solutions, affordable housing via cooperative models, food security, public transit expansion, and democratic renewal, all geared toward reshaping his district's future so that working people have a real shot at stability, dignity, and opportunity. And I believe we took that right from your website, honey.
You did, and honestly, you put it better than I did. That sounded great.
And just a little bit about the district. Virginia's 3rd District is centered in the Hampton Roads region, represented by Democrat Bobby Scott since 1993. Goodness gracious. And is one of the most heavily Democratic districts in the state. It is a majority minority with a plurality Black electorate and includes key military, educational, and industrial solutions. Zeb, for those meeting you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and why you're running for Congress?
Yes. Well, thank you, Ayana. I really appreciate this. I have seen, just to start off, I've seen OVC and the work that y'all have been doing for a few months now. I'll pop into a few town halls. And I just want to say thank you for me, but I'm pretty sure on behalf of all of the candidates, it's very nice to just have a platform where you can just show up, essentially. And y'all are doing all of the work. So I really appreciate that.
Of course.
And
We're
to
here for
just
the people.
yes, I love it. I love it. It's been beautiful. But to share a bit about myself, I would say, to be very honest, I started this campaign 10 years ago when I was a senior in high school, is what I would say. And it's because I always had a sinking feeling that we would end up exactly where we are. For anyone out there that watches Foundation on Apple TV, it's a thing called psychohistory in the book. It was a book that was written in like the early to mid 1900s. But it pretty much says if you analyze what the facts are, what people want out of life, you can predict the future. And so as a senior in high school, I looked around and I said, well, guys, showing how this is going, things are only going to get worse. And over again, things just keep getting worse. And we're not doing anything different. So I studied political science, concentration in political theory and American government, studied philosophy, focusing on Western political thought and moral ethics. Then I went to law school and I studied constitutional law. I didn't finish law school because it was when Amy Coney Barrett was confirmed to the bench and what Mitch McConnell did. It became abundantly clear that the legal system would be manipulated in order to suit certain people's interests. And I realized through my education, the only thing that could counteract that was actually mobilizing people and talking to people. So I withdrew from law school, became an organizer, worked at Planned Parenthood. This past election, I worked on a C4 campaign it was based in DC, but we were all over the country in swing districts. And pretty much since then, I've just been trying to activate, mobilize, and educate people on the state of our democracy, because I don't think the education that I have should... Only 1% of this population has the education that I have. That shouldn't be the case. I think everybody should have the education that I have. And the insight into the way the legal system works, our political system works, and all of this works, it should be readily available to everyone. It shouldn't be locked behind being able to get accepted to a law school, being able to afford the education. All of those things play a part in why our system is crumbling beneath itself. So I'm here running in the 3rd district because our current representative has served since 93, longer than I've been alive. And that sort of, we've been here doing the same thing for 30 years is not going to last another 30. And I'm 28. And I know that 30 years from now, my future is not going to look like it looks right now. It's going to look a lot worse if we keep going down this road. So rather than offer my support from the sidelines, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and hopefully push people to do better.
All right. I like that. In full disclosure, I am a lawyer and I agree with you.
That I feel like anyone who practices law is very honest about it. It's clear, like it's very clear.
I totally agree. I am disillusioned by what I'm seeing, the direction that we're going. It's madness. So, okay, I'm going to just start with an icebreaker question, just a little fun, just to break the ice, and then I'm going to roast you over the coals, Zeb. All right. What song are you walking out to at your campaign rallies and why?
What song am I walking out to? Okay, if you could just give me a second, because I actually built a playlist for a campaign playlist. I just want to take a look because there's a few. So if I have to nail it down, I just want to be sure. I would say it's coming up. Dial a Freak by Erykah Badu. Yeah, here I am, Miss Badu, not Big Sean, but I don't with you. It's it's very funkadelic, and I think that's what I walk out to.
Okay, and why that? Because of the funk or because of the message?
The message, the funk, all of it. One huge problem for me is that I get too serious and too deep in policy. You're a lawyer, so I'm pretty sure you know how that can get. So my friends are always telling me, hey, dial it back. Just be a regular person, talk to people, be normal. So I think that would provide the perfect opportunity to remind myself before I gave any stump speeches that we're not here to be too serious in how we take ourselves, but serious about what we do, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And how many town halls have you done since you started?
Since I've started, I think I've done about 2 or 3. They've been virtual, not in person. That's actually a story in and of itself, if we're being very honest.
You can take a few minutes and let us know the tea about the campaign.
Yes. So I had a phase of this campaign. I'm sorry, that's my dog. She doesn't like when I talk to other people and not her. So you'll hear
doggy.
Yeah, you'll hear her groaning.
What's her name?
Gia. Come here. But this summer, I filed to run on June 10th. And this summer, what I wanted to do, because Virginia has elections every year. We just had our state elections, as I'm sure everyone saw, Abigail Spanberger, landslide victory. So it's hard to communicate with people that I'm running for a federal office when we have the state things going on. So I didn't want to do too much. And what I came up with was a Know Your Turf town hall. There are 5 independent cities in the district, and I wanted to just do a town hall in each one of them. So I scheduled the first one in the city of Norfolk at a local community center. And while I was trying to get the insurance and stuff together, I went back to check in at the venue and they told me that I called to cancel the event. Uh-huh. I said, oh no, ma'am, I did not call to cancel. So someone impersonated me, pretending yes. And so,
Saboteur.
mhm. And when you think about the fact that, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but our current representative has been in the seat since 93, and that is the political establishment. So I could only imagine who was sent out to sabotage the campaign before. So we've pivoted, have not stopped working. But yeah, I would love to do town halls. We're 3 hours outside of DC. It's my opinion that our representative should be having a town hall every week. Because we, unlike someone representing California, I can drive back to DC every day if I really wanted to. I could commute to DC. It's like that. So yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, I hope that I don't know. I hope that now that all of that federal stuff, I mean, all of that state stuff is done, and the new governor will be sworn in, that you'll have you'll pick up some steam, pick up some speed. When is the primary? I think it's in June, right?
Yes, it is June
Okay.
16th.
June
Mhm.
16th. Okay. All
Almost
right.
exactly 6 months from today. 6 months
Oh,
from yesterday.
6 months from yesterday. All right. Again, chat, we're talking with Zeb Taylor, who's running for the Democrat primary for Virginia's 3rd Congressional District. Please like the live, share it out. Let the people know we are here with a candidate from Virginia. We're going to be asking some questions. And so let's get right into it. All right. Many working families in the VA03 are struggling to keep up with rising rents, food prices, and basic living costs. What solutions would you propose to relieve the cost of living pressure and help workers build financial stability?
Yes, I believe the only answer to the affordability crisis is a circular economy. That's it. Everything else is kind of just pawning off the issue. And to put things in perspective, I like to think about SNAP benefits. And we spend about $100 billion each year on SNAP benefits. Now, I'm not saying get rid of SNAP. Don't confuse what I'm saying with that. But if we had spent that exact same investment on building greenhouse, urban farms, hydroponic farms at schools, libraries, courthouses, just standalone buildings, we would already have a self-sufficient, essentially, produce system in the country. And so what we need to do in order to address things like the affordability crisis is actually building the infrastructure for people to support themselves rather than simply subsidizing capitalism, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And that also feeds into the housing crisis and the affordability crisis as it touches there, because so many people have been priced out of owning homes, out of renting, having to stay with family. And it comes back to the idea that housing is being used for people to profit off of. And when you're paying, say, $1,500 a month in rent, but only 800 of that actually goes to maintaining the dwelling or paying the mortgage, if another 200 goes to paying the taxes, and then the other 300 goes for the landlord's profit, well, in reality, the renter could afford to own the place. But the way the economy has been structured for so long, that the prices are inflated. And until we address that, like that root issue, that people paying or people struggling to pay $1,500 a month for their rent, where the dwelling they live in only costs $1,000 to maintain, that just speaks to a misalignment with the way that we have allowed the economy to function for too long.
Okay. All right. Well, and so you say a circular economy, right?
Yes, circular economy.
So, how would you support more affordable community owned housing options so people can? You live in the 3rd District of Virginia, outside of DC. Very expensive
Mhm,
area, DC, right?
mhm.
And as people are expanding and building that's pricing locals out of their homes. There's an affordability crisis, there's a housing crisis, there's a rent crisis. How would you support more affordable community owned housing options so people can stay rooted where they live?
Yes, it also goes to investing in more denser living. I think we have to have a serious conversation with ourselves as a country about single family homes and suburbia. That itself was a social experiment launched in the 50s and the 60s. And we're seeing now that that experiment is failing. And so what we have to do is have a serious conversation about whether or not we prefer single family homes over being able to afford where we live. Now, I would say we need to focus on more denser living, the 4/1s, and investing in building out those structures and building commutable cities. The 15-minute cities are a big talking point at this point, but actually using the Department of Housing and Urban Development to essentially build our cities instead of just subsidizing a housing project somewhere, but actually investing in long-term solutions that again feed into the circular economy and ensure that everyone has a place to stay.
And I live just outside the city of Cleveland, suburb of Cleveland in Shaker Heights, but I get obviously the Cleveland news, and the mayor of Cleveland speaks often about making Cleveland a 15-minute city. But one of the issues he has is that there are requirements for each home to have a driveway, right? So if each home has to have a driveway based on the number of people living in that home, if it's a one family or two family, that doesn't really leave much space for businesses to build. And so it's not really walkable because they have to have so many driveways for, a doctor's office or a bowling alley or something. And
Hmm.
so you have to change the law.
Hmm.
You have to change the law to make it easier for businesses to be built so that people have somewhere to walk to. Because
Hmm.
15-minute means that they're walking to somewhere, right? They're not just going for a 15-minute walk. So you got to give them some place to go, right?
Absolutely.
So, okay. Well, speaking of that, some neighborhoods in VA03 still lack access to fresh, affordable groceries, and local farmers say they have little support. What economic strategies would you pursue to strengthen local food systems and reduce food insecurity in the district?
Yes. Love this question. So I've looked at it, done the math, and still need expert opinions because I'm not an expert in agriculture. But Virginia's second district that sits right outside of VA3, essentially Virginia's third is the urban core. Virginia's second and Virginia's first are like the rural exurb suburb areas. They have enough farmland to feed everyone in the Hampton Roads region. And what's frustrating is that decade over decade, these farms, as we're seeing now with the tariffs, they have been encouraged to grow crops like corn and soy that are subsidized by the US government and then sold on the global market. Why are these farms not growing food for Americans? And this is what irks me about hearing things like American first, American first. I remember talking to another creator on here who's doing some anthropological studies in Brazil, but I was saying that I would be in favor of Donald Trump's tariffs on some imports if he actually did the work to bolster the supply chains on this side of the country first. So if they went through and they made it so that each farmer was actually growing food, connecting farmers directly with communities, and then turning around and saying, we're going to put a tariff on the imported spinach so that the spinach grown by the farmer around the corner is more affordable to you. And then this helps build the circular economy. But to get back to your question about how do we address the issue with people being able to eat, I think it comes back again to building out the infrastructure. Kids learn best when they have hands-on experiences. So why are we not incorporating kids learning agriculture and science and social studies, community relations, the agricultural revolution by allowing them to work in greenhouse farms for a class, Actually having them have the ability to go to a class an hour a day, grow food in their hydroponic farm that's then used by cafeteria staff to feed them at lunch. This brings back the connection with people and their food. It gives children the opportunity to learn about where their food comes from, the skills to grow their own food. But for so long, the corporatification of this country has completely divested people from the actual needs and the actual work required for them to honestly exist in this world. So it's really about focusing back at that point, bringing it back home so that, again, the circular economy, it really all comes back to the circular economy.
Do you think that's because we don't really have as much need for that agrarian type of society as we used to? We needed people to go and work in factories. We didn't need them working on farms. We needed them to make munitions and all this stuff because we were going to war every 5 years. And now maybe things have calmed down. Maybe now people can get back to that. Yes. Or do we, I mean, people are screaming, oh, bring the jobs back, bring the factory jobs back. He's going to bring America first jobs back. Well, maybe American needs have changed. Do you think that our needs have changed?
I do. I think the world, humans in our entire history, whether you believe that God created us or our creator created us in a few days, or you believe we evolved over hundreds of thousands of years, what humans have witnessed changing in our lives socially, culturally, economically, politically over the past 100 years, there's no equivalent of that in history. And so I think lots of people are harping on the idea that we don't know what to do. And again, I think it has to come back to us acknowledging that everything we're doing is an experiment. We don't really have the right answers. And when you run experiments, you have to be honest with saying, okay, we got to change the test. We got to go back to the drawing board. But I think that lots of leaders are fearful of admitting that. I was just writing up something the other day about how incremental change is beneficial for people in power because you still get to argue that you're making progress while not changing things too much. And so with that incremental change, yes, you're moving in the direction of progress, but what's happening on the other side? Is there also an incremental negative impact that's happening, that's building and building and building and building, but you just don't notice it? And I think that we're starting to notice it. We're starting to notice that these decades of policies aren't actually getting us to where we want to go. And that's why we need serious change and a new way to look at everything.
All right. And if you're in the audience and you have any questions for Zeb, please leave them in the chat or hit the multi-guest button and you can come up and ask him yourself. Oh, is your dog trying to participate?
Yeah, he is tired, lady. Yeah,
right. Gia's got some things she wants to say about what's going on in America. Apparently, there's someone on TV tonight addressing the nation. I don't know what it could be about. I don't follow politics.
I forgot about that. Forgot about that.
I said we're going to be competing with that. Oh, please, But no, I there's a lot going on today in the government, and it's changing rapidly. And if you're going to be an elected official, you're going to have to keep up with all of the changes, the rapid changes, the freak outs and the late nights and the long hours and are you ready for that? Are you ready for that?
Yes, because that's all I do now, honestly. I'm the type of person where I will finish the day and I have to tell myself to decompress because it's 1 a.m. and I'm still sitting there thinking, how do we build the circular economy? You know, like that's what's on my head. And that's why I can't wait for this election to heat up because it's honestly not about me doing anything differently. It's just about me getting access to the resources to make the ideas in my head reality. And so when I think about the long nights, when I think about sitting around a table with my advisors till 2 a.m., waking up again at 6 a.m. and walking through the street, hosting town halls with people, being tired out of my mind, it excites me. That's the only thing that I want, if I'm being very honest with you.
Right. Well, I hope you get there. I mean, the candidate, what is it called? The incumbent, I'm sorry. It's been there since 2012. I think that's long enough to figure out if you are for progress or if you're just for the status quo. And I like that I know some people will point, oh, where he's young, he's this, he's that. I think we need more younger people in office who have fresher, newer ideas. It's okay. It's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, you're closer to a lot of what's going on now than we are. Like, I could tell you all about the 70s and the 80s, and you could tell me about right now. Because I'm like, oh, I'm so tired of this. I remember when. But you understand, AI, automation, all of these things that are happening, this rapid turnover in society. You're closer to that, and we need those people. Yeah, see, the tired lady says yes. Let's get the youngins involved. The youngins. But okay, moving right along. Many neighborhoods in VAO3 struggle with limited access to primary care, long appointment wait times, and understaffed clinics. What steps would you take to expand healthcare availability so families can get timely, affordable care close to home? Oh my gosh. I've been talking so much today.
I know. I saw you at the one earlier. No?
And then I had my office end of the year party was today, and I'm just talking and laughing. Okay, so families can get timely, affordable care close to home.
Healthcare is a loaded question. And I'm not sure if you saw my site, but I put up there, I don't have a section on healthcare intentionally. And I just put the healthcare question because there's so many different pieces that go into people not being able to access to healthcare.
Correct.
You have on the one end a shortage of doctors. Well, we can't get 10,000 doctors tomorrow. There's a whole 15 year process in order to get more doctors. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is the actual facilities and infrastructure that exist. Do we have enough hospitals and clinics and everything to see everyone? No, we don't, which is another investment. And then we also have the issue of corporations running our healthcare system. How can we, address that without essentially co-opting their entire businesses? There are so many different aspects playing into the healthcare problem. And in my research on Medicare, because Medicare for All is the I would say the gold standard for the healthcare solution right now, I was looking through it, and most of Medicare is just federal funds being handed over to private insurance companies and them selling plans to seniors.
Yeah.
And that's why I saw it and I said, so wait a minute. If we give this to everybody, that's not actually going to address the issue. There's still that core problem with healthcare. And so I'm not the type of person where I'm just going to come out and say, this is what we need to do. But again, my line is, winning this seat means gaining access to resources. It means that I can call up health executives, doctors, professors, and have the conversations with them to gain better insight onto what the solution should be, instead of sitting on the outside and looking in and trying to theorize what the answer should be. So we need a robust overturning of the US healthcare system. That is undeniable. Exactly what we need to do to get there, to be honest, I can't answer that question because there are so many pieces. But as it stands right now, yeah, a whole lot of it has to go.
So you saw the fight today in the House of Representatives, the legislative fight, and they're introducing this. I forgot what they called it, but I had never heard of this thing before, and I'm like, oh, this is some new trick of bureaucracy to usurp the people. But no, they're really trying to keep these subsidies. But then it puts me in the mind of, well, why do we need these subsidies? It's because this thing still is not affordable. Why is it still not affordable? Why is it still not affordable? And why has no one on the other side who's trying to get rid of it come up with anything that would be affordable? So if you had to name a plan, if you had a plan and you had to name it, what would you call it? A lot of people come up here and they say Medicare for all. And then when I ask them what it is, everyone has a different answer, right? So nobody can agree on what it is, what it should be. If you had a plan, what would you call it?
Universal healthcare. That's it.
Okay.
That's what it boils down to. And I think that speaks to the larger question of the circular economy. And it's a fact that we live in a capitalist economic system. We're not going to change that overnight. Some people may not want to change that. Some people may want to. But bottom line, I don't care if you're a capitalist, socialist, communist, some things should not be open for profit. Healthcare is one of them. we should not have a system where people can become billionaires by essentially caring for the health of other humans. That is barbaric to me. That is greedy to me. And that highlights the worst aspects of the human condition to me. And when it comes to addressing healthcare, I don't think it should be a for profit industry at all. If you want to get rich, go start an entertainment group, go create a new invention that isn't a necessity, but don't go into the healthcare industry, because there are plenty of people that want to go into healthcare that are in it solely to make people's lives better. And they should be the ones leading the charge, not the ones that want to become billionaires by sitting in an office.
So, okay, you say universal health care. That means that's essentially a socialist position, right?
Yes.
Okay. You have the capitalists who are capitalizing, and then you have you over here with your socialist medicine plan. And how do you convince these people that this plan is better than what they're doing? How do you do that?
I think the best way is a public option. And that goes back to giving everyone the choice to buy into the program, to pay into the program. And the economic forces in capitalism is what it is. The cheapest and the best service is always going to win out. And so what the US government needs to focus on is providing the cheapest, most effective service in healthcare that they can. And that will essentially phase out the system automatically. But I think it should be open. It should be open to everyone and accessible to everyone.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Well, Virginia continues to face racial and economic disparities in maternal health outcomes. What policies would you support to make pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum care safer and more equitable for women in your district?
Yes. So just for this question, I didn't know you were asking it, but I have my Stand with Black Women shirt from Planned
Oh,
Parenthood.
okay. Thank you. I like that.
Yes. I worked at Planned Parenthood as an organizer for about 2 years. And so I was on the front line of the Black organizing program talking about what it was like to be a person of color and pregnant in this country, and how for many people that is a death sentence. Talking to my mother and my sister who hemorrhaged when she was having her child, to another Black woman that I went to high school with who was hemorrhaging when she had her child, and continuing to hear over and over again all of these Black women primarily talking about how when they're having a baby, that their life is pretty much discarded, and without the proper people to advocate for them, some of them would have died. And that is a reality that people should not have to contend with when they're trying to bring new life into this world. So addressing that, I think it always comes back to education. It's having resources available for expecting parents. It's having and funding doula programs so that there is someone along the ride with them the whole way, not just through birth. It's funding education for the doctors so that they know when patients are complaining to you, respond appropriately. Under no circumstance should you be allowing them to bleed out on the table simply because you don't have that, you have that racial bias and the racial undertones, that they'll be fine. And so what I think is happening, and again, I'm a man speaking on this, but at the core of the maternal health crisis in this country is it's just the racism that's rampant here. It's that original sin of this country, and the fact that Black bodies, brown bodies, particularly those of women, the misogynoir, they are not valued. They're not cared for. They're not looked at as if they deserve the utmost care. And so addressing the statistics comes back to addressing the people at the core of this.
All right. I like that response. Thank you. And again, if you're in the audience and you have a question for Zeb, leave it in the chat or hit the multi-guest request and you can come up and ask him yourself. We're going to go into some political rapid fires. Yes or no? Should federal student loan forgiveness extend beyond public service workers?
Yes.
Okay. Yes or no? Should Congress end mandatory minimum sentences for nonviolent offenses?
Yes.
Would you back reparation studies at the federal level?
Absolutely. You know what? I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna say no because I think we already have enough studies. Just to put it
Okay,
out.
okay, that's fair. That's fair. Do you support capping prescription drug prices?
Yes.
Okay. Should Congress expand funding for VA hospitals in your district?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did you hear that, Congress? Do you support closing overseas bases to reinvest in domestic military infrastructure?
I don't think I can answer that in a yes or no question just because I have ideas with them.
Okay.
Um, so
Well, you
we'll
can share.
Yes. So when we're talking about the climate crisis, we have emitted entirely too much carbon in the air. And I think that it's past the point of no return. So what we have to start doing is talking about removing carbon from the air. Very energy intensive process. If you saw the news, the head of the MIT fusion program was just gunned down outside of their home.
Yeah.
hmm We need fusion power yesterday. But when we deploy the fusion power, since most military sites are already Superfund sites, we deploy carbon capture at every military base on the planet. We attach fusion generators to them. So they're sucking it in, they're already there, the infrastructure is there, the land is paved. And then, because many people talk about cutting the defense budget, I don't think we cut the defense budget. What we do is to direct the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, to clean up all the mess that they have made over the past 100 years. That's what you do. And we mandated that money be spent on that, on the climate issue, so that you kind of thread this delicate needle of not actually cutting the defense budget, but getting the things that you want in the end.
Okay, so speaking of budget, what two items would you nix from the federal budget if you made it into office?
Offensive military weapons. We're talking about, replacing the nuclear stockpile. We already have enough weapons to level the entire earth. We don't need any more. Like, we don't need to keep investing on new ways to kill each other. That we're good. The second one, I would say, what would I nix from the budget? Mm, 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 mm. I mean,
There's got to be something that you think we just spend. We don't need that. What is that?
what is that? What is that? What is that? What do we just? And I know there are so many. It's usually that one is on the top of my mind, but I can't like pull another one out that's really, really good. Mm,
It could be
mm.
something that you're just like, you know what? The president doesn't need that.
Look, I'll put it like this. I think that pay for federal representatives should be tied to the median pay of their district.
Oh, oh, oh,
hmm
oh.
I think what the average of the people getting paid in your district is what you should be taking home. And watch you work to make sure everybody in your district is making a good paycheck.
Woo, you just did something there.
hmm hmm
Now that I like that.
hmm
Right. Okay.
Then we're gonna be talking about equity across the country, huh? All of a sudden, who
Mm.
represents Lower Manhattan and the person who represents the middle of Arkansas? Oh, now y'all gonna have a problem. Okay. hmm
Well, all right. That is, I like that. That is severe. That actually needs, because right now they set their pay, right? And they get to give themselves raises anytime. They give themselves their own raise. That's nuts. That's nuts. But hey, I'm just a person. Who am I?
Look.
I'm just a lady on the internet. Okay, we're going to move on to public education in schools. Schools across your district face uneven funding, where some campuses have modern facilities while others lack basic resources. What would you do to ensure every school, especially those in lower income neighborhoods, receive equitable funding and support?
Yes. I don't know if they're still allowing earmarks in Congress. Not sure about that. But I would advocate extensively for raising the
They
block
are
grants.
actually. They
They
are.
are, they're still, so yes. So personally, for my district, I would advocate for earmarks to go directly to school boards and schools, probably attach some provisions that give the students themselves the ability to decide how those funds are going to be spent. But also increasing the block grants in general. Um, it is the way that we fund schools in this country through property taxes is it's bound to fail. That itself makes no sense. So it would be a serious restructuring on the way that we fund education, the way that we provide education, because maybe that's through digital learning, because that's a whole lot easier and accessible to find professors, teachers to help supplement education. It also goes back to, again, the circular economy and giving kids hands-on learning with the things that we want them to be good at. But this is what's sitting in the back of my head. The current representative in this district is the top Democrat on education and labor in the House of Representatives. His Senate counterpart is Bernie Sanders. And it is, when I'm looking at Norfolk in particular, who is closing 13 public schools, I believe, over the next few years, and knowing that we are represented by the top Democrat on education and labor, and the education system in our own district is so poor, it is just something is amiss at the core of this. So I would pursue a lot more funding, earmarks in every way that I can. But yeah, we need to look out for our kids, seriously.
Okay, and some might say that Turning Point USA is a way to look out for our kids. I wouldn't be the one saying that, but some would. How do you feel about Turning Point USA going into public schools?
I do not like it, one. But I think what's happening at its core is that the conservative agenda has spent so long threading their needle of how to bypass the nonpartisan nature of public resources and public infrastructure and all of that, while implementing their stuff in public schools, that it's difficult. I do not think that Turning Point USA should be in public schools, because their goal is not for the betterment of all students. It's simply not. If they could pick and choose which students showed up to the school or which ones they could kick out, they would. And that's a core issue. So I think what this goes back to is leveling the playing field of our politics, but also educating people wherever they are. So I'm not in favor of it. How would you stop it? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I think about that often, though.
Yeah, because it's probably seen as just another club, like knitting club or chess club or something, and that's how they treat it. But at the same time, it's kind of like a political indoctrination. Like, if you want to have young Democrats or young Republicans, that's fine. But this is a specific type of organization started by and promoted by a specific type of person. And they say, well, we welcome everyone. But do you?
And that's the thing.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And if people aren't familiar with what I'm talking about when I say that they are threading this needle, when you hear the party speak of waste, fraud, and abuse, that is language that was created directly by Russell Vaught, the current OMB director, and the director of CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That was his work at the Heritage Foundation. So when I talk about them threading this needle and working for decades, they go piece by piece by piece, so that when they get to a point where Turning Point USA is dispatched at every school across the country, they've already solidified exactly how the exact language they're going to use, the exact methodology they're going to use to get people in. And it's trying to go up against a tsunami. So I just want to connect those dots for some people that weren't aware.
I gotcha. And what's funny? Today I was at my office. I work from home most of the time, and everybody's there in the office, and I'm talking to people about, how are your kids doing? How's things going? A lot of them, their kids don't want to go to college, didn't finish college. They don't want to be bothered, and not all students plan on attending a 4-year college. Many want stronger pathways to trades, apprenticeships. And I talked to one of my bosses about this. His son wants to be a franchisee for a particular restaurant. How would you work to expand vocational programs and partnerships so students in your district graduate with real opportunities?
Yes. So That current pathway now leads directly into the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
And Newport News Shipbuilding, which was formerly Huntington Ingalls and Northrop Grumman and whatnot, they're one of the only places, no, they are the only place in the world, I believe, that you can build nuclear aircraft carriers. They're one of two places in the country that you can build nuclear submarines. These are the things that make our Navy the superpower that it is. They are floating cities. The apprenticeship program there pretty much takes people directly out of high school, puts them in the apprenticeship program. It's like a 2-year junior college. And then you go to the shipbuilding industry, and then you're building weapons of war, getting paid a good $30 an hour starting. We also had a program in this area called Prudent. And that was where high school students, for half of your day, you would go to the Prudent Center. They would teach you nursing, cosmetology, I think like nail techs, all of these trades where you do need an education for, but you don't need 4 years, right? So by the time you graduated from high school, you got your cosmetology license and you can start doing hair.
Right.
They closed that down. So what we're seeing is that the infrastructure that already existed to place people in pipelines that maybe did not want to go to a 4-year school, get a degree, have an academic education, have been closed off from them. And so for me, it's just really going back into the drawing board and opening these things back up. And like we discussed earlier with the transition of this country away from an agrarian society, it may be time to transition it back. Because you'll see the stories on the internet of so many people saying, you know what, I went off to the middle of nowhere, bought some land, and I just grow my own food, and I'm content with it. And I think a lot of people in this world would be content with that. So how do we build that so that people feel fulfilled in their lives? They have access to all the things that they need, and they're not focused on consumerism and trying to make money. And in particular, in this district, I was just, looking at the top donors doing prospect research today, and all the top donors came from the defense industry. We're talking about BAE, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, like the manufacturers of weapons of war are powering this district. And it is in my phone banking, I specifically asked the questions, are you from this region? And did you serve in the military? Because so often the people from here didn't serve in the military, but the people from here are the ones having the most trouble achieving economic mobility. They're the ones that it's most difficult to come out of high school, maybe not go to a 4-year institution and get a good paying job, to be able to afford rent, to afford groceries, to be able to live in the place that they grew up. Whereas the people that are brung into this place by the military-industrial complex are the ones with money, resources, connections, and they have everything. So it's become a have and a have-nots on the back of the military-industrial complex. And so expanding those, giving kids the ability to get a good paying job, to afford their home, to rent even if they want to be able to have children. Because, if you can't afford to have kids, you're not going to have kids. Right. All of those things go back to...
People aren't having kids now because they can't afford it.
It's too expensive. So it goes back to relinquishing our dependence on the military-industrial complex and building up new industries. And I also want to mention, from this district, we have birthed Ella Fitzgerald, Jodeci, Missy Elliott, Michael Vick, and the list goes on. Like, it is nothing but raw talent here. And when we should be up on the cusps of Black cultural hubs like Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, Philly, LA, Oakland, when we should be up there, no one knows who we are. And I think that is intentional because of the military-industrial complex. They want to keep this place quiet and under the rug.
I mean, they've elected the same representative since... They're flying under the radar. Like, is she one of the longest serving in the House of Representatives?
Yes.
Like Maxine Waters might be have more years under her belt, but
I think so. I think it's Maxine. I think it's Auntie Maxine out there.
Yeah, there's still a few that have been in there since the 90s, and yeah. Well, okay. So moving on to public safety. Many people in your district want safer communities, but they also want policing that builds trust and treats everyone fairly. What steps would you support to improve public safety while strengthening community police relationships?
Yes, yes, yes. I think the top of every law enforcement department's priority should be community organizing. And it makes no sense to me that the same communities that you are being sent into with the resources to unalive someone is the same community that you can't name who lives on each block.
Mm.
And so when we talk about policing, in my opinion, it should be police canvassing. You know, they should be going door to door and say, "Hey, I'm the one that patrols this area. I just want to let you know who I am, who you are. Let's build a relationship. Let's do relationship building." It should not be just an entire city department just sending somebody to patrol whatever precinct at whatever time. There should be assigned turf. You should be working at this point for years in the turf that you're assigned so that you have relationships with people. I think about the fact that, you know, it may be one block where kids love to play out past curfew. You know, they're not doing anything wrong. The aunties on the block, the unks on the block, they know. Okay, them kids out, go tell them to go into the house, right?
Right.
But if the police pull up and they see these kids out playing, and all of a sudden they see police cars, so they disperse, now the police is on high alert. They're like, what are they doing? Now they're chasing them. And now we have arrived to a situation where someone may have been unalived or assaulted by the police because the police were under the impression that something bad was happening because they dispersed when they showed up. But really, this is just the reality of the police not knowing the community they're policing and the community not knowing who is policing them. And so through community organizing, we can meld those two together so that when police show up in a neighborhood, they already know what to look for. And they're not just relying on training to get them through.
Correct. I like that response. Thank you. You know what? I like that you have actual ideas.
As I told you, I've spent my entire life preparing for this. I have not look. I'm ready to go.
I like people who have more than just criticisms. Like there's a lot to criticize, but what are you going to do about it?
Criticism does not build futures.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. So, coastal Virginia faces hurricanes, flooding, and severe storms. What would you do to improve emergency preparedness and ensure your district has the infrastructure and resources needed to protect residents during disasters?
Miss Ayana. Ayana.
Am I hitting all the right spots this evening?
You are. You are.
Shout out to our researchers.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Researchers.
Because y'all hitting every single nail on the head. So this isn't even specific to Virginia's 3rd district. This is sorry, get this straight. It's the Hampton Roads in general. So we are second only to New Orleans when we talk about the danger of sea level rise. I mean, I would say third. New Orleans, Miami, and then us. Like New Orleans, Miami, probably they're fighting for number 1, number 2, but we're perfectly in third. And 2 million people in this region. There are really only 2 ways to get out of this place. Like two highway corridors. And I remember speaking to my government teacher from high school when we were putting the campaign together over the summer. And she said she did a mock-up and there was no way to evacuate everyone from the Hampton Roads in the event of a massive storm. That was in the 90s. So we're talking about today and the impacts of hurricanes rapidly intensifying off the coast, the impacts of them changing direction at the last minute, the cuts to the Weather Service at the federal level and not being able to accurately predict these storms. So when I told you earlier that I sit up at 1 a.m. thinking about these things already, just I don't have the access to the resources, this is what I'm talking about. Because in the event we get a Cat 5 rapidly intensifying hurricane, it will make Katrina look like a cakewalk. And when you talk about the impact of the military industrial complex here and what that would do to national security, having the place where you're repairing your ships, the place where that's your staging ground for the Navy, completely underwater, it is not something that we would be able to easily recover from. And so when we talk about these resources, there are lots of things that we need to do. Greening the area, planting native plants, restoring our wetlands and coastlines, raising our roads, our streets, our buildings. I mean, the list goes on. It goes on because these are one of the things that genuinely terrifies me. Because if we get hit, I don't think we could rebuild seriously. And if it does, it would look like New Orleans, where the people of color, the Black people, got pushed out and then all of the land was gentrified. And I went to LSU, so I saw firsthand how the entire makeup of Southern Louisiana and the Gulf Coast changed from that one storm. And I can only think about what would happen here.
So your response is not just, hey, let's give more money to FEMA. You're thinking more of the environmental infrastructure.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. Long term. And I will say, because if you notice, like, my plans are all long-term focused, it's because I want to get into government. I want to do good work for a generation. Go Tigers. And I want to get out and I want to go live my life. My dream is to open up have a farm, have a restaurant, because I love to cook, and have a nice farm to table thing where we only feed you what we grow, and when we sell out, we're closed type deal.
Listen,
that's my dream.
You're making me hungry. I haven't eaten very much.
Well, you better eat when we get off of this. You better eat when we get
waiting. I can smell it.
Okay.
But I'm full of cake and pie from the party.
Uh-huh.
But no, I like that. I like that idea. Farm to table. I like that.
Yes. But we can't do that if everything goes to hell in a handbasket. So this is why I'm here with serious ideas to get this done so I can get out as soon as possible.
So you want to get in and get out. Do you think that there should be term limits for congressional representatives and senators?
I'm actually not in favor of term limits, just because the way you would have to, for instance, think about Nancy Pelosi, right? She served way too long. I think when she shouldn't have run during the Biden era midterms, right? That should have been the capstone to her career. Mm-hmm. But the institutional knowledge that she gained proved instrumental in being able to pass all of the legislation that she had. And what we're witnessing right now, for instance, with Hakeem Jeffries, is that he does not have the institutional foundation necessary to be an exemplary Speaker of the House. He just doesn't. You need more than 5 terms in the U.S. House in order to be able to wield that gavel to its maximum efficiency. What I am in support of are qualifying elections, right? Because primaries only work if there's someone, a viable candidate, challenging, right? We can look at the representative representing VA3, for instance. No one has ever primaried him. It is a safe blue seat. That means there was no serious election ever. Whereas if you have a qualifying election where you say you must get 30% of registered voters to vote for you, they must come out and vote and give you permission to run in a general election, right? And this can be in the off year, like in between the midterms or whatever, like it would have been this year, for instance. Mm-hmm. But basically, the voters come out and give you permission to run again. And if you don't reach that threshold, you don't get to file, right? And what this would require is representatives to actually go out in their communities. It would require you to make sure that your people are there to support you. Because if you got to get 30% of registered voters, you're not sitting around waiting. You're making sure that you're talking to them, not the fundraisers. You're making sure that you're building the connections on the ground and not with the big wigs in Washington. Because if after 5 terms, you can't pass your qualifying election, you're out of there. Whereas if you're someone like AOC, Bernie Sanders, Jasmine Crockett, all of these firebrands whose districts love them and they do good work, I'm sure they could, if they invested the time, they could get that 30%. And so term limits would deprive the chamber of institutional knowledge and people who like their representatives to keep them. At the same time, preventing those who are just sitting back and sliding through every election from sliding through every election. So that's what I support
Okay, and I agree. Nobody should be able to slide through every election.
at all.
That to me sounds like disenfranchisement, because
Uh-huh.
if you're telling me that my vote counts and my vote matters, but when I go to vote, the same person is getting reelected, and that's because they're getting the money from the big donors, and the smaller donor recipients are getting pushed out, then that's diluting the vote, really.
Mm-hmm.
Diluting the vote.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to mention Virginia's 3rd district, election after election, has the worst voter turnout of the entire state. We're either in last or tied for last.
Oh, wow.
And I think that comes back to the fact that we've had the same representative since 93. People aren't motivated to turn out and vote because there is no incentive for the people who are actually in office to mobilize people, because it's a safe democratic area and all of y'all gonna win your seats and nobody's brave enough to primary any of you. So, and then the impact that has on statewide elections. I've looked at the data. There are plenty of statewide elections that could have gone a different way had people in this district voted at the same rate of everybody else. We would have had entirely different results.
All right, and we have a question from the audience. Yes, tired lady. Hello.
Hello. Hey, Zeb. How are you? How's everybody?
How are you?
Hi. Yeah, so I have a question. One of the things that I was thinking about last night, because I'm just like you, I stay up all night because I can't sleep, because all I'm thinking about is trying to figure out how we're going to like get out of this dumpster fire. But here's a question I have. Obviously, this is my possible solution for how we end insider trading with reps that are currently in office right now. Like, they're all doing it. They're making millions of dollars. And here's a thought that I had, and I'm just spitballing here, but since you're here, you know, is it possible to take advantage of of being able to do the stock options and being able to get the money and actually take that money and donate it to helping with infrastructure, helping with food banks, helping with building community gardens? Has that ever been brought? Maybe somebody else has already talked about this. So if so, you know, but and also, like, just to say, like, strategically speaking, I just have a feeling that the Republicans or anybody that don't like us would do everything they could to end this. This would be like kind of like the idea of the reverse psychology of gerrymandering. The fact that we're gerrymandering, that's going to force them to want to pass laws to end gerrymandering because we're using that against them. So I have this idea of using that same idea against them in order for us to build in our communities.
Yes, I think that would work. Again, when you get to the specifics of how you would regulate the personal stock purchasing of representatives, that gets murky. But I think that just speaks larger to, and Trump tried to do it, a sovereign wealth fund. But those are how lots of the entitlement programs, as they're called, are funded through, like, trust funds and like where that money is invested and all of that. But I think it goes back to leveling the playing field of the economy and the fact that only the rich people are able to engage in that sort of wealth creation while the rest of us don't. And
right,
so
but
when you look
if we vote for you guys for these reps, like, say I'm going to vote, like, I can't, but let's say I'm in your district and I vote for you, then we're collectively saying, okay, we are voting for you because we also know that you have this other ability. I mean, I'm sorry, I know we're playing dirty, okay? Like,
no, I
and I
get you.
know,
I
like,
get
this
you.
is, like, unfortunately, like this,
like a superpower. They have a superpower.
yeah,
They're superpower.
kind of like that. And we all are in on it. We all get it. Like, you're doing the stock options to build a nice home. We're building a stock option to build a community garden.
I mean, that's I've thought about a lot of things. I haven't thought about that. And that actually, I mean, it's kind of a good idea when you think about it. I'm running it through my head because if you come out of your closed door meeting and you say, "Yeah, everybody, sell this stock," or
Yeah.
"Everybody buy this stock," you would, yeah, I mean, you would have to worry if they're gonna charge you with stock manipulation and whatnot and send you to jail. Those would be
that
my
would be
concerns.
okay. That would not be
I
good.
was
We
just
don't
going
want
to
anyone
say, how
sent
do
to
you get
jail.
them to funnel their money to your nonprofit?
Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there as a question, just to also just, because I do think that we have to like find ways, because the thing I do think that is we have to create a mutual aid. We have to like sort of start to create a parallel government, if it, as it were, to be able to meet the needs. Like, of course, the flooding that's happening in Washington State. It just makes me think that we have to figure out a way. And so that was just my question, to see if that is a possibility. But thank you for answering.
Well, we appreciate you, tired lady. I don't know what is your name. I don't want to call you tired lady.
Well, it's tired lady, but it's Mariana. My name is Mariana.
Oh, thank you, Mariana.
You're welcome. All right, so I'm gonna just leave. I'm always like trying to like figure out how to do that. So, or I guess you can just. Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Lovingly, I'll drop you lovingly.
No worries.
All right, that was a good question. I never thought about that.
Neither did I. And that's what I'm sitting here thinking. I'm like, that's actually that's a really good idea.
I get them to agree to maybe donate a little bit of that money. But speaking of good questions, okay, I'm going to ask you some fun rapid fire questions. Remember, fun starts with you, or it starts with us. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Go-to karaoke?
Do you do karaoke?
I don't really do karaoke. I'm one of those medium singers where like I oscillate between actually hitting the note and having fun, so it just becomes a mess. But I would say when I do karaoke, I would say "Manicure" by Lady Gaga has a good like funk beat, nice guitar strings. That's usually my go-to.
Okay, all right. Are you into Marvel or DC comics?
I am a Marvel head, but I will say DC does villains better.
Really? You think so?
I do.
Well, this is about you. It's not about me. It's about you.
I do. And I will say, I think one of the issues with DC, like trying to do their multimedia, is the fact that they don't understand that DC is the brand of villains, Like, I think it's the anti-hero that really makes DC pop, because Batman is cool, but everybody wants to see the Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yes. Listen, that Batman movie with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, one of my favorite movies of all time. With Prince on the soundtrack, please. They'll never be able to recreate that. Never.
Yes.
Okay, if you could cameo on any TV show, what would it be?
Any TV show? Oh my goodness.
Alive or dead?
Okay, alive or dead. I would say if I could do a dead one, I would say it'd probably be Charmed. That was like the TV show that I would watch repeatedly.
Yes, Charmed.
Yes, so I would love that.
Power 3. Yes.
Set us free. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, that'd be it.
All right. Are you a coffee or a sweet tea drinker?
Sweet tea drinker. It's funny. My mom just asked me the other day. She was like, "How much sweet tea do you drink?" I said,
"That might be why you're up at 1 a.m. All that sugar, honey."
Probably why. I've actually found a way to steep it longer, so like I can add less sugar. I've perfected it. But it's probably just more caffeine because I'm steeping it for so long. But that's right. More, you know what you can get decaffeinated tea. I've never had that before, because why would you do that to yourself? Precisely. Someone asked Prue or Paige though, and I'm gonna just say, when I was younger, it was Paige. As I grew up, it was Prue.
Wait a minute, there's two others though. What about those two?
I think it's because they switched out Prue and Paige, with the whole fiasco there. Yeah. But I would say my favorite sister of all had to be Piper. Piper,
yes, I love Piper. Oh, Piper. Okay, this one is a funny one. Would you rather fight one giant crab or 100 tiny crabs?
One giant crab or 100 tiny? I'm gonna have to go with the 100 tiny. I'm gonna have to go with the 100 tiny.
Really?
I am.
Okay. You imagine yourself just kind of in a room full of crab, just fighting with their little crab. You would have to have little crab, like little tiny swords or knives or something.
Yes, I'm gonna have to go. And that's the thing. Since we're coastal, you can see like the little crabs all the time, like little I forget what they're called, but you see them always. But I'm thinking about what a big crab would look like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no thing. And especially how big we're talking. It would depend on. In my head, when you said big crab, I'm thinking one like the size of a giraffe or something. That's what came to my mind immediately. That's why I went directly for the little one. You
That's
know?
that's what I was envisioning. Yes, one as big as a giraffe. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and finally, if Congress had a talent show, what would you perform?
A talent show at Congress?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I think I would probably do a lip sync melody. I think I would. With some very like music down the National Mall. It would be it. Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. I love it. I love it. I back that 100%. All right. Let's see. As a majority minority district, issues of racial justice, voting rights, and equitable representation are deeply embedded in your local politics. What policies would you champion to ensure equality in voting and congressional representation?
Yes, love that one. So first, I think we need to increase the number of House reps. I think capping it at 435 has not been a good idea. Two, I would support both the John Lewis, I believe the Voting Rights Act, and the For the People Act. I would absolutely support those. Huge supporter of public funding for campaigns because that's been a big issue for me. You can see I've done the work to come up with the ideas, but I have not perfected my fundraising skills. And now I'm hitting the wall with that. Like, oh, that's the one thing I don't have.
You got to call people and ask for money, or you got to go around and shake hands and yeah. Like, would you give me $1, please? Get away from me.
Look, and I feel like with public financing, I was just thinking about that when I was getting ready for this town hall, but it should be done in like phases where once you file, you get like 10K, all right? And then you can get the names on the ballots for the signatures. Then once you qualify, then you get another payment. And then once you get to the primary, then you get like another payment, kind of tiered essentially, so that people can get access. Because I'm thinking about myself now, and I don't need like a $500,000 to win this race. I'm an organizer. I know what I need to do. I just need the money to get the software, which is expensive. But once I got that, I'd be able to finesse everything. And then once you have that basis there, then it's like the bystander effect. Nobody really wants to give money to me right now because it's like, well, you are kind of just a kid doing this. So
yeah,
like,
who are you? What is your name? Why do you have a nickname? Why do you have 5 names? What are you doing?
You got it. But the second you're able to give yourself that legitimacy, record that one fly campaign video, do a little town hall, feed some people at the event, all of that, then all of a sudden people want to send you money, what's coming to me is that Britney Spears quote where she's doing an interview on TV and she's like, yeah, it never made any sense. When I was poor, nobody wanted to give me anything for free. Now I'm rich and I get everything for free. And it's just one of those things where it's like, y'all only give the money to the people who no longer need it.
When I was in the mud, you didn't want to pull me up. Now that I'm out of the mud, you want to be around me all the time. You want to
got pats on the back. You trying to throw me up in the air, throw me on your shoulders. I'm good now.
Well, you know what? Being on social media helps a lot to get your name out. So if you could build up your following, I've said this to people before, if we can galvanize more young voters into voting in the primaries, not just the general election, but the primaries, then we could get more people like you onto these ballots and get these 1992 candidates out of office. Now, I'm sure they've done a very lovely job, but it's time.
Exactly.
It's the Jello is the Jello is calling.
You
It's
know,
Jello hour. It's time to go.
I stand on your shoulders. I salute you. I thank you for all you
Right.
have done. I probably could not have done what you did, being the first Black person to represent Virginia since Reconstruction. That was not the job for me. Okay, that was not the job for me. You had to do the respectability and play nice and all of that. That was not the job for me. Okay, but
sorry.
today we need more. We need more. We need more right now. We need to throw the respectability out the window and fight for the people on the ground. And that is the job for me.
So, okay, Virginia, I totally skipped this section. I can't believe I did this. Virginia is growing in solar and clean energy potential, but many neighborhoods feel left out of the economic benefits. What steps would you take to support clean energy development that creates local good paying jobs and reduces energy burdens for working families?
Ooh, this is a question right here because Dominion Power, I'm going to try to make this quick. Dominion Power is our utility here in Virginia. Dominion Power was found by our state's regulatory committee to have overcharged Virginians $1.2 billion from like 2014 to 2020. They're required to pay back $400 million. So they still had a $800 million surplus, right? Virginia is the data capital center of the world.
Yes, it is.
Of the world.
Yes, it is.
Dominion just got approved to raise prices by $11 for every person that's connected. They also, because of solar panels and everybody putting them on their roof, they're also now charging a connector fee. So now you're paying to even be connected to Dominion's grid, even though you may not be using any Dominion energy. So they are nickeling and diming people. The gag is that Dominion is the largest contributor to state elections in Virginia.
Oh, would you look at that?
So it has become a legalized corruption ring of them overcharging citizens, sending that money to political campaigns getting elected, them not doing anything to hold them accountable, and then the cycle just continues, right? So addressing the energy crisis here really comes back to getting on Dominion, right? Because there aren't too many issues with most of the people here get our energy from a fission reactor, nuclear fission over in Surrey. That's not expensive to run. Dominion is just trying to rake in more money bit by bit by bit. So what it comes back to is holding Dominion accountable. And then I think everything else would flow from there.
Okay.
But also investing, home solar, fusion power, getting that breakthrough, putting fusion reactors in every neighborhood, really bringing the energy grid back home into communities. Again, that's what I'm a big proponent of.
How do you explain that to people? How do you break that down to people, especially in lower income neighborhoods? You're like, we're going to bring in the fusion centers. And people are like, whoa.
I think, yes, again, this is back to my 1 a.m. thoughts. Because, the fusion reactor is pretty much, it's a star on the Earth's surface. That's really what it comes down to. We're harnessing star power. And it is cheap. It is reliable. It is almost infinite energy. And it would eliminate all of the costs that we are dealing with right now. So it's complicated. I don't understand it all myself. But what I do know is that for just a couple of dollars, nobody would have to actually cut their energy consumption, which I think everybody would love. Prices would shoot through the floor. It's a near infinite supply of energy. You're not going to have any meltdowns because if the reaction doesn't go well, it'll just stop instead of continuing like old style nuclear reactors. But that is hard to bring that language to low income communities, of which there are a lot that simply they have no idea what I'm talking about. So I think about that often, and I for you.
Well, schools might be one idea. Science, science class, physics, astronomy, I don't know. It would have to be some kind of educational program in schools. It's the same way you try to get people to understand voting, pamphlets, programs at libraries, et cetera, et cetera. I think people are very disappointed when they see something just pop up in a low income neighborhood. It's like, oh, they're experimenting on us again. You know, they're doing what we don't even know what they're doing. I think it's unfair to do that to people, even if, you know, you think they may not understand it. They still deserve that human right to be informed, right? To be informed, to make a decision, to make a choice, to decide if this is what they want in their neighborhood. But poor people are treated like, you know, they're just, they don't matter. They're not going to bother. But, and you know, it's how they were able to get away with poisoning Flint's water and Jackson, Mississippi the water and all these other places. And yeah. So if you can get the education piece down, I mean, I like that. I like that idea. I've never heard anybody say that, honestly. But if you can get the education piece down, then
I took it off of the website because what I realized is that that's kind of the general election message for a district that's a safe Dem seat. So focusing on winning the nomination is the things like the affordability crisis, military industrial complex, public safety. That's been, you know, I've been phone banking. Those are the things at the top of people's mind. But what I had and what I've been working on is called the Big Three. And that's climate, democracy, technology. And when you examine civilizations throughout history, one of those things was the end of most major civilizations. You know, you can look at the Mayan Golden Age, the climate change. So that's why the Mayan civilization collapsed. You can look at Cahokia, also that was in like Illinois and in Indiana, that also collapsed. You can look at ancient Egypt and the changing of the Nile and the climate systems. That's why that collapsed. You can look at other indigenous societies and the fact that they weren't technologically advanced and they weren't able to fight the Europeans. Reasons why they collapsed. So the climate, our technology, and our democracy all go hand in hand because also one can't be solved without the other. And I was talking earlier about climate capture. We can't address the climate crisis unless we get the technology necessary. But we can't get the technology necessary and actually do something about it if oligarchs control our government, you know? But if tech is allowed to continue running unabated, the oligarchs are gonna control our government. And so just as you mentioned, you know, this education and how do you get people to see it, that has been a core of what I've been working on. And people often talk about the lack of messaging to combat the rise of authoritarianism and things. And I'm trying, is what I say, just to give you a preview. But
well, I mean, it's not, you know, a criticism of you at all. It's something that the Democrats struggle with. They struggle with messaging, period. It was a criticism in 2024. It was a criticism in 2020. It was a criticism during the Obama administration. We struggle with messaging, period. And a lot of people feel like we talk to them up here, and they want to be talked to down here. And we don't know how to do that. We also don't know how to brag about our accomplishments, right? And for better or worse, Biden had a lot of accomplishments. That infrastructure law was a big, huge deal. He was part of bringing the ACA to people. Despite its struggles, that was also a big deal. But Dems don't run on their record because they're afraid, okay, well, we're not going to attract too many independent voters and Republicans if we talk about the Democrat things, because they don't really like the Democrat things, so we don't talk about those. And Republicans just run on straight fear. They don't really know how to govern very well. And I know we're nonpartisan. I know we're not a partisan. Don't yell at me. But they don't govern very well. They don't present policies when they talk, when they're out there on the campaign trail. They run on fear. Aren't you afraid of the immigrants? Aren't you afraid of going broke? Aren't you afraid of not having a factory job? Aren't you afraid of no coal jobs? Aren't you afraid of your kid, you know, overdosing? And so who's running on policies and messages and telling people, look at what we've done, look at what we want to do, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to pay for it. That's what people want to hear, but they don't want to hear it at a level where it's just like, yeah, dude, you lost me, you know? And that's a problem for all Democrats, you know? And how we cure that is just, you know, conversations with people, just regular, hey man, we're talking. We're just talking, like how you and I are sitting here talking, just people talking, you know, and going, hey, you know what? That was actually a Democrat policy that you like so much. And it's actually Democrats who want to do this because we know that that's going to help you. And you've said that that's going to help you. So, I mean, we're the ones doing it. Hey, look at us. So, if I had any tips for you, that would be my tip, you know?
Thank you, because I'm guilty of both. That's why I'm just sitting here listening, because it is me. It's funny because I have a friend who's always, I would talk and they'd be like, hey, you're speaking in academic language. I need you to bring it. I need you to bring it back. I need you to bring it back. And so I've worked very hard to be able to communicate these complex ideas very succinctly and in everyday language. So yeah, it's something that I'm working on every day. But also, I'm also afraid to brag. I hate it. And like you said, we have to be comfortable with bragging.
We have to be comfortable with bragging. Absolutely. And we can't, and I know people have said this, we can't run on, well, the other side is really bad. They're really bad. Look at all the bad things they're doing. Because some people like those bad things, right? Some people like those things. Some people like the bad. So you have to run on something else. You have to try something else. So, but yeah. In the final moments, because we have like 2 minutes left. Not that it's going to click off at 10:30, but many constituents feel disconnected from their elected officials again, and they want someone who listens and engages regularly. How would you ensure you remain accessible, visible in every part of your district, especially in underserved neighborhoods?
Yes. Love this question. I am an organizer first, and I'm an organizer always. And it is my commitment to be in the streets. Like, I have zero desire to go to the galas and to go to the fundraising events and to go to the black tie events and all of those things. I don't care. I want people to see me out in the gutter with the people doing the thing, doing the do. That's what makes me excited. Like, so many people want the life of the aristocracy, and that is one of the reasons why I withdrew from law school, because I knew that me saying this would sound hard to believe by people. Seeking a position that pays $170,000 a year, what we understand about politics, I needed a way to say, I will never leave you behind. You may not agree with me on everything. You may not support everything that I do, but you will see me in the streets with you. You will see me knocking doors. It's funny. Someone commented on a video I made the other day, and they said, why do you expect the Democratic Party to do so much? What do you want them to do? Show up to your house? Yes. Yes.
I was laughing so hard at that. I'm like, yeah.
That's exactly what I want them to do. I want all the representatives to be up there pounding the pavement.
It shouldn't be that they get into office and they immediately start fundraising. They forget all about the people who got them there. You never see them again. And you're just here. Here's my vote. Here's my vote, sir. And they're like, thanks. It shouldn't be that way. It should not be. They're answerable to us. They work for us. We sent them there. We should see them. We should see them. They should be doing town halls. They should be doing some kind of memo, a memorandum. These are my accomplishments. This is how I've been working for you. When you call their office, they should respond. It shouldn't just be, well, I've got billions of dollars in funding, so I know I'm going to win. So
why should I do anything? Why should I show up?
Yes. Why should
I call you? Go to your house? I have better things to do. I eat my filet mignon and lobster tail at the gala. That's what I'd rather be doing.
Listen,
and I just
I work in a particular area of law where a fresh letter, not a form letter, a fresh letter from a representative or senator gets action. Okay, those people get looked at first. But I know not every representative is doing this. They're not responding to requests for, please help me. I have an issue in my community. And they should be. They should be responsive to people when they have issues. It's just my opinion. But I'm a lady on the internet. As a reminder. Okay, so we got to close it out. They're giving me the whatever. I'm coming, please, people. I work for some real, harsh, loving people. Yeah. But okay. One final question. If you are elected, what is the most meaningful change you hope residents of your district will feel in their daily lives by the end of your first term?
By the end of my first term, what I would look back and say was a success if people feel community, you know, if people feel like they have a representative who is fighting for them night and day, every waking moment. If you took a random poll of people and even if they didn't agree with me, they said, yeah, that guy cares about me. I may not like what he's doing, but I can go to sleep at night and I can know that he's putting my interests at the forefront. So if people felt that way by the end of my first term, I would feel that I did a good job.
Okay, I like that. And Zeb, I want to thank you for joining us this evening. Please let the people know where they can find you online and how they can support your campaign.
Yes. So if you want to support, you can go to the website, zebtaylor.com. You can follow me here on TikTok at The Ladder Matter or on Instagram at Zeb for Congress. Two different handles, but there's a, yeah, we won't get into the reason
If you all are here now, follow Zeb right now. Hit that plus sign on next to his name. Follow him right now.
Thank you.
And go to the website, find out all about his policies, and donate to his campaign. You're through, are you through Act Blue?
Yes, I am. I'm back on Act Blue. I am. I try to stay away from the Democratic Party apparatus, their tech apparatus, but it was not possible.
Yeah, it's impossible. I'm sorry, it's impossible. They get you one way. They'll get you one way.
Don't they?
Again, we've been joined by Zeb Taylor, who is running for it's the hunger talking, who is running for the Democrat primary for Virginia's 3rd Congressional District for the U.S. House of Representatives. That is a big deal, people. Congratulations on declaring and running. This is a big deal, and I wish you the most success. I really do. I love to see younger people, because I'm still young myself, involved in politics. Your primary is on June 16th, 2026, but can people vote early in Virginia?
Yes, they can. I believe it is 32 days, something like that. 32 days.
So you guys can get started voting in May. So that's coming up. I mean, that's not coming up, but it'll be here before you know it. It'll be, Memorial Day before you know it. And we've talked about where we can find you. We invite you and the audience to join us again. We're doing this again tomorrow, December 18th, with a different candidate. It won't be Zeb. It will be Brandon King from Minnesota, who is a candidate for Minnesota State House District 20A. That is tomorrow, December 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have a candidates roundtable on December 21st. That is a Sunday, and it's at 3 p.m. We have them in January as well. So if you can't make the December one, we'll have some in January. We're just inviting candidates to come back and just talk about whatever they want to talk about, whatever issues they're seeing out on the campaign trail, their platform, just kind of bounce ideas back and forth and just answer a few questions from us. It's not really a guided discussion much, but you come and you can, whatever you didn't get to talk about today, you can talk about. It's another one of the freebies that we offer to our grassroots candidates, because we love you guys and we want you to do well. My name is Ayana, and I am very hungry, so I have to go. But this is Our Vote Counts. No, it's overtime anyway. It's okay. Our Vote Counts is a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity like Zeb, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we are building a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. We thank you for joining us, Zeb, and the audience. We appreciate you so, so very much. Remember, your vote is your power, and we will see you back here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much. Tell Gia we said good night.
Look, Gia ready to go.
Okay, Gia, we're going to let him go. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you for coming.
And before we go, I just want to say I have an anxiety disorder. So usually I start sweating profusely, and I did not sweat at all this entire time.
Oh, I'm glad I just sweat.
Yes. You like it all. It was just very, and I just want to say thank you for that because I felt
You're
very at home here.
welcome. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate you being vulnerable and open. I'm so glad. I also sweat, and I am not sweating. So we had a good time. You and I, we had a good time.
Well, all right, Miss
So-
Ayana, you go eat and you go rest.
I'm going to go eat right now.
All right. And thank you to the OVC team. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night.